Nvidia believes that the healthcare market can easily be a $100 billion AI factory opportunity. Now, in today's episode, what I want to do is take a closer look at this presentation that is going to be based on information from a recent conference that Nvidia was in and kind of share the great insight of why Nvidia believes that the AI healthcare market is such an untapped market for them and the opportunity is huge for investors. Like always, this is the best place you're going to find any semiconductor news. If you want more written content, check out my free daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechiphappened.com. So let's get started.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so we can see Nvidia stock had a really strong day, maybe not that strong of a day. It was up about 1.6%, sitting at $115. And this is after the massive sell-off we've been having. I'm going to say the market will continue to be volatile. So while it does look great from that kind of bottom, we saw the stock is up almost over 7% right now from the bottom of March 4th. I believe the market can continue to be volatile. So I wouldn't celebrate just yet, but I do believe anything around 115 and below is great as a long-term investor, as long as you understand, one, that volatility is going to continue, and two, that is very much dependent on the AI space. Overall, Nvidia is my number one stock, so I have no bearish thoughts at the moment. We just heard earnings and I did a video on earnings. So feel free to check that out to hear all my overall thoughts. But in the long term, I am very bullish for AI and for Nvidia. And like I mentioned, I believe anything around the 120s, 115s and below is definitely great for nice dollar cost averaging. Maybe not for loading up the truck, but for at least nice dollar cost averaging. So like I mentioned today, I want to take a closer look at a TD Cowen annual healthcare conference where Nvidia was at. And this actually happened on March 3rd. So it was yesterday during this whole kind of crazy red day that many stocks were seeing. And this one, we're going to see kind of an analyst from TD Cowen kind of run questions. And the one responding is going to be Kimberly Powell, which is the VP of Healthcare at Nvidia. I'm actually a huge fan of Kimberly. If you've been following this channel, we have analyzed a few conferences that she was in. And when it comes to the healthcare industry and Nvidia, she is the number one player to listen to. So the first thing, and one of the main questions that came out is like, when you think of Nvidia, you don't think pretty much about the healthcare market. But Kimberly kind of broke it down to us that, hey, look, accelerated computing was first adopted many years ago by the medical community. And early applications included medical imaging, molecular dynamic simulations, and genomics analysis came from this market into the accelerating space. And the great thing is NVIDIA builds computers that solve problems no other computer can. And these specialized computers have led to amazing breakthroughs. One of those breakthroughs that we are seeing right now is artificial intelligence, and other scientific fields are experiencing breakthroughs, including things like climate science and drug discovery. But one of the markets Kimberly is very, very excited about and sees as an emerging area and significant developments is physical AI and robotics. So they kind of give us a pretty quick one-on-one of what's happening here in kind of the healthcare and how NVIDIA is not just new to this space. And one of the great things is obviously we know the Blackwell platform, and Kimberly mentions that the Blackwell platform has been built for the modern AI of agents that we are now living in. So the Blackwell is going to help out a lot with this AI agentic world. And we're going to talk a little bit later on through this episode what that means for the healthcare business and how NVIDIA can benefit from it. And like we saw, one of the biggest opportunities that she thinks is going to impact in the very near future is the innovation in physical AI. So now here we have a pretty cool slide from how NVIDIA sees the healthcare market and why they believe is hundreds, not just 100, hundreds of billion in AI factory opportunity in forms of AI agents, AI instruments, and AI robots. So the overall healthcare industry is a $10 trillion industry. And about 3 trillion of that is just on pure spending that AI can kind of get into. And that can lead that $3 trillion of spending can be optimized. And you can get a lot of that by spending just hundreds of billions in AI compute yearly. So Kimberly explains a lot where we kind of just talked about, right? The healthcare is 10 trillion. 30% of that cost is in labors, labs, and physical infrastructure, that $3 trillion. Now, even in well-resourced countries, there's a drastic supply-demand shortage. And we face an extreme shortage here in the United States with tens of millions of short laborers. Now, each 10 million healthcare workers represent approximately $1 trillion in spending. And then AI assistance, so AI agents and all these other types of AI applications, is essential to address this gap. And the healthcare AI application falls into three major buckets. And the first out of those three major buckets is what they call digital devices. Patients' journey typically begins with some form of diagnostic imaging to understand the body. And there's other forms of measurement, including lab tests and genomic sequencing. So you got to have a lot of data right at the front and a lot of sensors and a lot of, so sensors are just data collecting products. NVIDIA believes that these players that are currently in the sensor market will increasingly become robotic systems in their own right. Like right now, you might just have an imaging system, but eventually that imaging system will be able, thanks to AI applications, be able to do things on its own, be able to maybe analyze a few steps before sending it to maybe the doctor or so on. So AI is going to help innovate these sensors, this imaging types of products and make it more robotic systems. So Kimberly is very, very excited because these systems are not only gonna sense information, but they're also gonna reason over it. And that's something that we're hearing a lot with kind of like O3 Mini and all these AI models. So we are kind of seeing all this translate in the large language model world. And many people are saying, hey, look, Jose, large language models are really going to translate, but that form of thinking is going to translate to so many different devices. When a system, either being a healthcare market system here, is going to read some information, once it reads that information, it's going to think and think and think over and over before it makes a final decision. So this will facilitate deeper understanding for physicians. So digital devices represent a huge growth area for agentic AI and future robotic system. The next one that they believe is going to be super strong is drug discovery. And the drug discovery recently added an extra $50 billion in spending. Total research and development spending for drug discovery has reached $300 billion annually. And the biggest thing here is that it has extreme challenges where 90% attrition rates in clinical trials. So one thing is, as we are continuing to get more high tech in the healthcare market, we are generating more biological data than ever before. And this data can feed back to AI models and LLM models and create kind of this language of drugs. And labs can generate data 24 hours a day. So there's no shortage of this. This data can be injected into large language models and biology foundational models. And then these models can represent biology in a profound new way. So right now we have so much data. We obviously as humans can't analyze it all at once. And this is what large language models can do and create these foundational models that can help change the way biology is seen in the future. So here we saw that the success rate of trials is very, very low. So again, AI models, like I mentioned, can synthesize 1 or 2 orders of magnitude fewer chemicals for discovery. So again, you increase your chance of success. And this, like I mentioned, represents a huge improvement in R&D productivity. So while they're already spending 300 billions, if you say, hey, look, instead of $300 billion you spend maybe $30 billion in AI compute, everybody is going to line up. The other thing is there are benefits that extend beyond early discovery into clinical development. For example, large language models can help strategize clinical trial process like finding appropriate patients, identifying optimal trial sites, designing more effective trials, maintaining higher patient engagement. And NVIDIA believes that today's agentic AI can already facilitate these improvements. The third major area is digital health. And like I mentioned, first is kind of those digital devices, then is here the digital biology, and next is digital health, the third major application of AI solutions in the healthcare and life science. So think of this as humans that can be hired. They can support the stretch and burning out healthcare workforce. Remember earlier on this slide, we discussed that the healthcare market is very much in shortage of employees. Now, think about it. Like I mentioned, $3 trillion of operating expense and labor can easily become a couple $100 billion in what NVIDIA calls AI factories. So AI factories would be kind of these AI agents running 24/7, creating some solutions and helping close the gap between the shortages that we're seeing, either being AI infrastructure to support all these end agents, supporting the robotic surgeries of the future, supporting the digital biology labs of the future, and supporting all the healthcare workers. So this is a huge opportunity. Now, there are some frictions. It's not just super excitement. I think one of the biggest frictions here is just regulations not keeping up and regulators taking longer because just it's hard to keep up with AI innovations in approving things. But luckily, there have been some good examples already. For example, the FDA did approve foundational models for imaging in just a few months. So again, I think this is going to be one of the big bottlenecks with AI. It's such a revolutionary technology that it might take FDA approvals. It might take regulators longer to approve some of these products. Now, NVIDIA and all these companies, if they start to showcase great data and are able to communicate things a lot better, I do believe that could help with the process of regulations. Now, another thing that Kimberly mentions is the cost of AI is becoming completely manageable. For example, inference cost has decreased 200x in just in the past 2 years, and technology costs are rapidly decreasing while human costs are increasing. Right, so humans become more expensive, but if you focus on innovating technology, that actually gets cheaper and cheaper. And one of the things that they believe they haven't really done well and need to do better is people don't yet fully understand the total cost of ownership and potential return of investment. So NVIDIA is just trying to showcase the ability of how the AI market can grow dramatically and how this is the next big opportunity for this tech giant. I do believe this is going to be a huge market. NVIDIA just finishes this off with the three main things are AI agents, AI drug discovery, and AI robots. And this is greater than $100 billion in AI factory opportunity. So this is something that's not going to, in my opinion, come out of nowhere. It's definitely going to take some time. But this is a way that NVIDIA is not just focused on the greatest large language models, right? And I think that's where the market believes AI is going to just be. It's just going to focus on large language models. But just in the healthcare industry, it could be already a multi-$100 billion opportunity per year. And now you can start thinking of any other industry that's also that big. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know it was a little bit longer, but it did, in my opinion, share a great insight of how NVIDIA sees the AI and healthcare industry. So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.